Hi, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment telling me about your favorite part.
Some first-time guests for sure. So hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. Okay. Hello, and welcome to Actor Nightcap, where we have late night industry discussions. My name is Adetinpo Thomas. I'm an actor based in Atlanta, and I am beyond excited to have our guest here today. Here on Actor Nightcap, I have spoken to various people who do various things within the industry, but it's all been actor focused. The idea is to give people a chance, step by step, to build out what is hopefully and ideally a long and healthy career. The first one was about the craft itself. We had somebody come in and talk about mental health. We had someone else talk to us about the physical body. We've had a manager, we've had a casting director, and we've had an agent. So now, after we've gone from the craft, the body, the mind, the agent, the prep, the materials. Now we're going to talk about the audition prep. It is not a simple thing to get sides. You got the audition, you've won, congratulations. Now what do you do? And how do you find yourself on set? And here with me to talk about this is Catherine not Kathy Dyer. It is such a pleasure to have you here. I'm going to read your bio and then we'll get started with the questions.
Okay.
Got it. In the last 2 decades, Catherine Dyer has built an impressive resume on both sides of the camera. As an actress, she is best known as the evil Agent Connie Frazier in season 1 of the Netflix mega hit Stranger Things. She can currently be seen in season 2 of The Morning Show, as well as on Just Beyond on Disney+. In 2022, Catherine will appear opposite Chris Pratt in Amazon's thriller The Terminalist, as well as guest starring on season 2 of Sweet Magnolias on Netflix and opposite Benicio del Toro in Reptile. I thought that was fucking cool.
So did I.
Like wild. In the last few years, Catherine starred in 2 hit Lifetime original movies, Psycho-in-Law and A Sister's Secret, as well as guest starring on Black Lightning, Queen Sugar, and Dolly Parton's Heartstrings, and as Alexis Stevens on the Fox medical drama, The Resident. Other TV guest appearances include Greenleaf, Halt and Catch Fire, Sleepy Hollow, Zoe Ever After. It said that there. I was just adding words to keep you on your toes. The Inspectors and the hit CBS show Scorpion. Film credits include The Founder with Michael Keaton, who I adore, and opposite Robert De Niro playing Zac Efron's mom in Dirty Grandpa, as well as a pivotal role in Cell opposite Samuel L. Jackson and John Cusack. I'm actually in the trailer for that. I was an extra though. And as the ex-wife of Jeremy Irons in An Actor Prepares. Catherine also appeared opposite Sandra Bullock in the Oscar-winning film The Blind Side, Demi Moore in The Joneses, and as Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife in the action thriller Sabotage. Catherine has had recurring roles on Lifetime's hit series Army Wives and Necessary Roughness on USA Network. Other television appearances include The Originals, Finding Carter, Complications, Satisfaction, Reckless, Drop Dead Diva, House of Pain, The Gates, Raising Izzy, Devious Maids, Past Life, and Party of Five. Catherine also spent 7 years as a supervising producer at A&E Networks, garnering her a Primetime Emmy Award nomination in 2003. What an incredible bio. And what an amazing person. Thank you for being here. Catherine, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Not me out of breath reading your bio. Like,
oh God, that was getting a little embarrassing, actually.
But I think that means you're doing it right, or at least you're doing it to a degree that is interesting to you.
I'm still doing it. How's that? I'm still here. I'm still kicking.
And with that, what is on your, well, not what is on, what did I not say about you that you want people to know as we get started?
Well, I guess there's a lot. It's funny. You said the evil Agent Connie Frazier on Stranger Things, which, as an actor, I never thought she was evil, right?
You never do.
To me, I mean, she was, this is a woman who's just doing her job, doing anything that Dr. Brenner told her. But saying that, I did conventions after Stranger Things. I'd never done cons before. I I really didn't know much about them at all. So I started doing some conventions, which was great. It was so much fun. And at the table, when you're at the table, and this speaks to sort of perception of, who you are, I'm sitting at my table and above me is my banner with the picture and with Connie Frazier, Connie Frazier picture. People would walk by and look at me. They'd look at my picture and they'd look back at me and they would just turn slowly and walk away from me.
Cool.
It happened all the time. I'm like, oh my God, people think that that's me, that I'm a murdering woman.
Mhm.
It's very funny. So yeah, so I'm not that awful person, but there's a lot to me, I guess. I don't know. That's a tough one to answer. There's a lot to all of us.
Yeah, that you're nuanced and that you're not the scary character you play on Stranger Things, which you would think people would like understand in a real way, but somehow, and maybe I think we're just so entrenched in this, but when I think the guy who played Joffrey on Game of Thrones like quit acting because people would come up to him on the street and like yell at him for being so terrible on the show. And it's like, y'all, I'm sorry, but this is not real. This is literally make believe. This is a bunch of grown-ups in costumes swinging swords on that particular show. Like there are dragons in this. This isn't real.
Right. I have to give a shout out. My brother just signed on.
I was gonna say another Dyer, some relation.
Another Dyer. John, look at Jedediah Dyer over there. He's our pretend cousin.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
No, you're great. So at the very beginning, how did you start acting?
Well, I wasn't a very good student. And in high school, I'm originally from New York, and my family's transferred. My father's transferred to Atlanta when we were kids. So I went to high school here. And I guess in my senior year, senior year, I took some acting classes at the Alliance Theater.
What?
Yes, back before there was electricity. No, I'm kidding. And I really liked it. And when it came time to think about university, college, there wasn't really anything I was that interested in. And I thought, well, what about acting? Let me try that. So I auditioned for the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York and got in and moved to New York City soon, a little bit after high school, and went to school and stayed in New York for 20 plus years, and went to LA, did sort of back and forth New York, LA thing. So I felt, I got to the academy and I thought, oh this is much better. I don't see myself working necessarily a 9 to 5, although I ended up doing that, at one point in my life. But yeah, I felt like I was with my peeps. I love that my classes were ballet and vocal production, and not geometry.
I want to say I quote this probably every single Actor Nightcap, but there's this quote that's attributed to Albert Einstein, but he didn't say it. And it's, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend the rest of its life thinking it's stupid. And I think they work so hard to push the arts out of school, but so many of us, especially people who need like to be healed emotionally, are not given the opportunity to express that in art. Because as much as we're considered this kind of frivolous thing, you don't want your kid to become an artist. When the world shut down, everybody sat at home and watched TV. Everybody sat at home and listened to music. Everybody sat at home and were paint by numbers and coloring and got back into. So I think there's so much to gain from this. Even people who come into acting and don't do it full time, I think it just teaches you to be a better human because you become so much more compassionate and empathetic.
You have to, and you have to be empathetic as an actor. You have to watch people. I tell Adetinpo, one of my sisters just joined us.
Your family is so supportive.
There are 6 of us. They're we're all over the place. I also think I think everyone should have to wait on tables.
Yes.
Or work in the restaurant industry. Everyone.
1000%.
Because it's difficult. You have to have a great work ethic, but you also get to watch people. You get to learn about people, and that's what is so fascinating about what we do. And we have to have empathy and sympathy for people. When I was at school, my father would come up and visit. His business was in New York, so he'd go from New York to Atlanta frequently. And we'd go out, and we'd go out and have dinner, have a couple of drinks. He'd say, let's go over to Times Square and hang out. And this was when Times Square was scary. This was not when it was like Disneyland now. And we'd stand on the corner of 42nd Street and 8th Avenue or 7th Avenue. He said, let's just watch people. And we would just watch the array of humanity that was just passing back and forth. It was fabulous. I mean, I think from him, I learned my love of, drinking in humanity. What was interesting was that a couple of times as we were standing there, a couple of, people who were accustomed to the street, shall we say, would come up to my father, like sidle up to him and go, "Who are you looking for?" They thought he was a cop.
Oh.
They thought he was a detective. I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. Yes, observing people is one of the best teachers, for sure, and not observing them with any judgment whatsoever. We can't judge our characters as actors. Like what I said about Connie Frazier, I couldn't say she was evil or awful.
Yeah.
So we have to have open minds. We have to always remain open.
And I think that's what's great about building character. That's one thing I miss so much about doing theater versus doing film and television, is like you're given the entire story that you need. You know what you need to make up. You know where this is going, where it's ending. And then you get to build this entire person. Or sometimes, I mean, co-star one-liners you don't need to know what's in your pocket. But when you're the kind of person who you really have to live and breathe in whatever character for, 2 hours, 7 shows a week for however long, to really develop the nuance, you realize the smallest thing that can be a trigger for somebody in a conversation, where it was a thing that happened when they were like preschool, but in this McDonald's reaching for the ketchup, all of a sudden it's about to be a fist fight and you have no idea where this came from. But sometimes people's concerns, people's frustrations, people's issues with the world are in the smallest moments you don't realize. And I think as I go through life or watch other people go through life and have these moments, I can watch somebody walk down the street and I'm like, I know whatever you went through is rough, and I hope you've had a chance to heal.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question. What helped guide your career choices that you've made? And I mean, getting into acting, where you went to school, going to New York, going to LA, coming to Atlanta.
So going to New York was a no-brainer because my family's from there. And LA wasn't even a thought. I mean, it was theater. I went to the Academy for Theater. Right. I wasn't thinking film and television. And I love New York. It is, I could live there again if I had a gajillion dollars. Right. So that was a no-brainer. But then I tried LA for a few years and went back to New York. So it's just trying the different markets. And then my husband and I met my husband in New York. Then we went to LA and lived there for a few years. And it was still more banging our head against the wall, waiting at tables, being a hostess or a receptionist or administrative assistant. And then we went back to New York. And it was the same thing. And then I worked I gave up. I said, fuck this. Sorry, I cuss.
I do it often. It's okay.
Okay, good. This is making me insane. This is so difficult. And I know, and people told me, oh, it's hard. There are 90% of actors that are out of work. And I find myself saying that to young students because I'm a realist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. So we had it. We had some success in off Broadway stuff and off Broadway stuff, some commercials, a lot of commercial print work, which is really great. And we decided to move to Atlanta because my father was elderly and not in the best health, and I hadn't lived in Atlanta in many years. I mean, I'd come home and visit, but I hadn't lived in Atlanta. So we thought, okay, let's move to Atlanta. We'll do theater. We'll do local commercials, and that'll be our lives. We're like, okay, that's fine. We'll have a house. We'll get a dog. It'll be a nice life. Well, for the first time in my career, my timing was good for the first time ever.
Okay.
coincided with the tax incentives. I didn't know what tax incentives were. All I knew is that I was starting to audition for major feature films with major players. I thought, it's a mistake. Is it? I'm Richard Gere movie, and I'm auditioning. What? So my timing was right. Timing and luck. Right place, right time. You know, so my choice of moving to Atlanta wasn't for the industry, but I got lucky.
Yeah.
Did that answer that question? Did I go on a tangent?
So I also am curious now, as you've answered that, how do you choose which auditions to do and not to do, which roles to do and not to do? When they want to offer you scale, when do you walk away or are willing to walk away, like that kind of thing?
I think another one of my sisters joined us too. I believe in auditioning for everything, but having said that, I don't need resume builder roles, and I don't mean for that to sound you know, a certain way. I don't need nurse number one. I don't need to audition for nurse number one, right? I did many of those. Those are my resume building roles. I absolutely audition for co-star stuff. Absolutely. I don't turn it down. I'm an actor and I want to work and I want to do good work. Full stop, period. I do have a friend who won't audition for co-star roles, and he hasn't auditioned in ages. But if he changed his mind, he could be working. So I just want to work. I mean, and you know, actors, we all say that, I just want to work. I think it's the only industry. I mean, you don't find an administrative assistant that says, I just want to work. Bring me more files. Let me do more typing. I want to file. I want to do all the filing. So, you know, whereas actors are like, yeah, bring it. You know, we're hungry.
So is there anything in terms of topic or depending on like the thing, I won't audition for certain slave roles, right? So like, is there anything like that you turn down at all, or is it just free for all?
If the writing is really bad, I won't audition for it, because if the writing is really bad, I mean, even, you know, grammatical errors throughout the script, that tells me there's a lack of professionalism, which tells me on set there's going to be a lack of professionalism. And that's going to make me uncomfortable. And I don't think it would be a positive experience for me. I mean, I'm not going to do nudity or topless, but I mean, you know, no one's asking this to take off her clothes or anything. Thank goodness.
No, there's some stuff coming out where they're freeing the top ups, and regardless of age, and I think it's actually really empowering.
I do too, and I'm never going to say never. So let me say that right now. Never say never. Yeah, I've auditioned for some fun cougar stuff, but I really assess each audition as it comes in. As it comes in, there's not that I can think of right across the board. I say no, I'd never do that. I'll take them as they come.
That's fair enough. If you don't mind me asking, who are you repped by here?
AMT.
Gotcha. Okay.
Who are you repped by?
I'm with Privilege. Jacob and Corey.
Oh, they are awesome.
They're really cool guys.
They're great. Yeah, Corey he's taken that agency and just really done wonderful things with it. It's very impressive.
Yeah, I'm grateful, because I think I think to this point, to this specific topic, there isn't much agency we have, especially early on in our careers. And I remember I would sometimes get things that I'd read it and there's something in my gut that was like, And
yes.
My first agency would be they wouldn't be as kind and polite and understanding as my current agency is. And it wasn't that I was being ridiculous. It wasn't that I was, and sometimes, you know, you don't know what you don't know, but I think to be able to put my foot down and go, no, I'm going to pass on this one. And it being like, okay, no problem. And not being just like, well, I don't know who you think what is the reason, why, what's going, and it's just like, I'm allowed to say no, like it's my life, right? Like what's going on there. So I I'm always intrigued to hear. I'm always curious about where people are repped and how they approach that scenario, because depending on how you answer that question when it comes to what you're willing to do and not to do, it can mess with your whole trajectory. And I say that because I remember specifically for Ozark, I think season 2 was the one where they were heavily in that strip club. And I got a blanket email that was like, are you willing to do nudity? Because I'm with you. I'm very modest. I'm wearing a button down in my house. But I was like, no, I'm not. And then didn't audition for the entire season. But when I watched season 2 of Ozark, it was like, young Black mom, young Black FBI agent, young Black police officer. And it was like, oh, so me not willing to take my top off in a strip club seems to have erased my chances of auditioning for all of the young professional roles that I actually normally audition for anyway. So moments like that, I get curious about in terms of other people's experiences.
That's annoying and that's frustrating. And I hate hearing that. I mean, there are, for nudity, I remember years and years ago, I agreed to do a play in New York, and it was an Ibsen play, and part of it was topless. Mm-hmm. And I thought I ruminated on it. Can I do this? Can I do this? I was in my 20s. I was like, I finally said, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this play. I'm going to do it topless. Well, they lost their funding. Oh, it didn't happen. However, there is absolutely power in no, and shame on people that make you feel like you are lesser than because you say no. This is our business. We are the CEO of our business, and I can say no to a role if I want to without having any shame or guilt from an agent. That's just not right. And I don't like that the casting director didn't see you. I mean, if that was the case, do you think that really was the case, that they didn't see you for the professional roles because you didn't?
Funny, I mean, and I actually think it was my agents didn't submit me for the rest of the season. I didn't think it had anything to do with casting, because that same casting office saw me for a bunch of other stuff.
Right. I was good. Yes.
I think that's a good point to make. And, anybody who might be new or just in general, I think we're just now getting into this like renaissance where it's like, oh, well, sorry, I was going to say, women, your bodies belong to you. What I mean to say, we're getting to this space. I just got so tired. We're getting to this space where intimacy coordinators are a real thing, where there are now nudity writers. Nudity writers are a thing. Please know that nudity writers are a thing. I booked a show on a Monday, needed to be in an intimate scene with one of the leads on a Wednesday. They wanted me to sign a blank nudity writer, and I didn't even realize what I was signing because I'd never heard of it before. And it was just because I was being firm, because I am modest with the costume department, that I was like, no, I'll be wearing a shirt. Thank you, though. No, I want to wear more underwear that covers me a little bit more. Thank you, though. Only later to hear in the approach, Alex's group, that nudity writers exist. And I was like, oh, my agent should have told me, the production somebody should have said something, and nobody said anything. So I think if you guys take anything out of this conversation, do know that there's power in no, and it's good to ask questions, but know that if you don't feel safe, it's important to speak up on your own behalf.
That is so true. That is so true. We're having an intimacy coordinator workshop at Drama Inc. It's funny you should say that, but we have to ask questions. We can't be desperate. We can't get on a set. We can't let people say, you know what, well, if you don't do it, then we can't shoot, then we can't go on. No, we have to take care of ourselves. We are our own agency. And if we don't have an agent, we really do have to, fend for ourselves. Otherwise we say, you know what, let me call my agent.
Right.
use that line, just use it. I'm going to get my agent on the phone, and you hand the phone to them and they will take care of it, because things aren't so desperate that we will do anything. And I hope people know that. I hope especially young women know that. If you get on set, well, let's do this topless. No, that wasn't what we negotiated for. So you don't have to.
Yeah. But I, on the flippity bibbity, as much as I'm like, I always take my clothes off and I had to work hard. I was watching a actress roundtable, a Hollywood Reporter roundtable, which I love. If you don't watch those, please go watch them, because one of my favorite things is watching actors talk to other actors, because they know what they're asking each other. But watching these like very talented and then accomplished, they're being awarded with something that season. That's why they're at this roundtable talking to each other, is just brilliant. But one particular one, and it was somebody like Toni Collette, but it wasn't Toni Collette. She was talking about needing to be nude in, oh, and I wish I remember the name of the show. It's the show where the daughter had Munchausen syndrome and she was in a wheelchair on Hulu.
Pieces of Her?
I don't think so. But this lady, yeah, she was just in Severance. She was the boss in Severance. I'm so bad.
It was, if you hadn't said that,
no.
Arquette, Patricia Arquette.
Patricia Arquette.
Oh, wait. Oh, God. Oh, my God. That was from the documentary. The woman with Munchausen syndrome.
Mm-hmm. So she was talking about how she was I think she had a love scene in the show. And she was like, and I'd never really done it before. I haven't watched this stuff, so I hope I'm remembering this correctly. My memory isn't great. Time isn't real. It's fine. But however it went, the conversation at the Hollywood Roundtable was about how in her 40s, she was finally doing, or maybe it was early 50s, finally doing a nude scene. And she had gotten so much positive feedback from women who don't get to see their bodies at that age on screen. But also she was like, man, well, fuck, I should have done it back in my 20s because I was a lot hotter then. And hearing her say that, I was like, right? Never say never. Because never me to take my clothes off, I just might. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We will see. Yeah, we will see. And that's the thing. I mean, we're sort of, we're also insecure. I mean, I think every person on the planet's insecure, but especially women in this industry. Mm-hmm. So insecure because we're not perfect.
And I can't imagine. I really look forward to seeing what comes of the children who are growing up. I was going to say post-Obama, but I don't know if that was undone. But children who are growing up in this, like, no is okay, boundaries are healthy, everyone should go to therapy. I was born during the pandemic, so my parents actually paid attention to me. I'm watching TV and there are people who are differently abled, who are shaped differently, who are different colors, who are trans, who are gay, who are everything. And that being normalized, I think for so long, I would watch Boy Meets World and be like, I see myself in this somewhere. And then Angela showed up and I was like, I see myself in this. There was Dion and Clueless, and like that was, and then of course there were the shows I shouldn't have been watching at like 6, like Living Single, but they're to now be watching things and it's just normal to be big or normal to be small or in a wheelchair or deaf or whatever. And I think it's so lovely. I don't know if that's Gen Z or the generation after them that doesn't quite have a name because we haven't had reason to judge them yet. But whoever comes out of it, I imagine they're gonna save us all. I imagine they're gonna save us all.
That's a really great point. I hope they will. Oh, what a wonderful world it would be, right?
Yeah, I think there's a song. There's a song like that.
Yes.
What is your audition prep like? Let's get to the nitty gritty.
That's why we're here. Okay.
When you get sides.
Okay.
What is your process going all the way through?
Well, it's we had this year. Jason and I did it. My husband, Jason McDonald, who's also an actor. Sometimes we get an audition. It's like, oh my God, I've got this going on and that going on. I got another audition, and we kind of it gets very stressful immediately. So we have instituted, and this is going to sound so corny, you guys, and it's going to sound like a Sunday morning church show, but we have our hour of power. Okay. I take my sides. I go into our room. I close the door, and I give myself a solid hour. No phone. I read my script several times. I teach a class called Quick Turnaround, and the first thing is when we get the script, I read halfway down the page and go, oh yeah, I got it. I got it. I know what this is about. I got it.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I haven't even finished reading the pages. So I I read it. I read it a few times. I love Tim Phillips's book, Audition for Your Career, Not the Job. I love that book. I'm constantly writing things down and going through it. And I find clues in the script. I find the clues. I answer the basic questions. Who am I? Who am I talking
again? I'm sorry.
What's that?
The name of the book one more time, Tim Phillips' book?
Audition, it's right here. Audition for Your Career, Not the Job. I mean, if I book the job, that is icing on the stinking cake. But what I'm doing is, it's like an interview. Think of it as an interview. It's an interview. I'm interviewing with these casting directors and they're interviewing with me. If I get the job, that's fantastic. But I want to take that pressure off of the audition process. So I go back to the questions. Who am I? All those basic questions. Who am I? Who am I talking to? What's the relationship to the person I'm talking to? How do I feel about that person? What do I want? What's my objective? All of those questions I ask. And then my memorization technique is scoring.
Is that when you do the first letter of every word?
Yes. Yes. Yes, it is magic. I'll bet if I'd had this in high school, I would have been a better student. I'll bet. And I score it and it works like magic and it's in my brain. And
so I know what you're talking about, but just in case people don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Scoring is a method whereby, I wish I had an example here on my desk. You take the first letter of each word, including the punctuation and capitalization, and you write it. Well, here's a side. Here's a page. So here are sides, right? Here's an audition side. And in the margins, I will write the first letter of each word, including capitalization and punctuation. I'll go back, go back, and then I will read it with just the scoring. And you are blown away at how it's in your mind, it's in your brain, which is just remarkable.
Okay, wait, hold on. Are y'all taking notes? Are you writing this down?
My friends, scoring, right, Jedediah? I have two more sisters on here, and Francine is also on here. And here's our pretend cousin is Jedediah Dyer, you guys.
I love the reunion.
I need to meet the whole family.
So you score your script.
I score my script, and then let's see what I'm looking at. Scoring it is genius, you guys. It's freaking genius. So what I also do is, so I've got my hour. I work on it as much as I possibly can, and then I'm constantly ruminating. I'm constantly going on in my brain, and I have it at my nightside, at my bedside at night, and I read it again before I go to bed, and I let anything subconscious sort of come and play. But I'm constantly, and I'll in either Rehearsal Pro or Voice Memo, I'll record the other characters' lines. So I'll have this, I can do the scene aloud while I'm driving, but I'm not making choice, I'm doing it just flatly, just to get those lines, just to solidify those lines. Does that answer your question?
Oh yeah, so that's your prep of the audition itself, and then you tape at home. Do you go somewhere? How does that work? I know you tape like Drama Inc. has a taping studio as well.
Drama Inc. does have a studio, but it's hard to get in. Sometimes we'll go at 9 o'clock at night to get in, but we also have a studio in our basement, and we just got some new lights, so we're futzing with that, which can be very frustrating, but it's a lot of setting up and shooting and setting up and moving lights. And
you see my light.
Do you have a ring light behind you?
I have one in front of me. So
yeah. I was looking in the reflection in the picture behind you. Yeah.
So these two were my first kit that I got when the pandemic started. Because I normally tape everything at Frat Pack. If you guys haven't been to Frat Pack, they just opened a new studio actually. I moved to Decatur to be closer to Frat Pack. Not only are the guys
You
dope,
need to come to Drama Inc. Oh my God, you need to come to Drama Inc.
I also now work at Imagination Emissary and Marietta. These 3 studios actually do incredible work. But I say all that to say that I got these because of the pandemic. When we first started doing Actor Nightcap, this is a complete digression, guys. I'm so sorry. Like I was saying earlier, when we first started, I was on my HP and the internet was running too slow. So it also didn't help the fact that the camera was also old. So I just got a new web camera. It's in 4K. Holla at you, girl. You can't quite see my pores, but I look cute. So I had the umbrellas and the ring light thinking, okay, the ring light was easier. They caught up with us in the pandemic crunch, being actors and influencers needed, better lighting. But with this 4K camera, I don't think I need this much light. So it just looks like daytime in my living room is all that's happening.
It looks terrific. And let me tell you, for those of you who use ring lights, some casting directors don't like the little ring that shows up in your pupil. So what you can do is you can put a plastic bag over the ring light if you don't have umbrellas, or turn the ring light to where it bounces off a wall back onto you.
Yeah.
It's got to be a light colored wall.
Right.
It bounces.
That's actually, so we're getting into the nitty gritty, because this is the kind of thing, it's one thing to know how to act. Unfortunately, auditioning is also a skill. And for a lot of people, if they're not doing theater, if they're not doing independent work, auditioning is sometimes the only time they get to work. I'm not a fan of the whole, like, your job is to audition. My job is to act. I get to act in my auditions. And I think the joy of acting in my auditions is what makes them come alive. That's what fuels them. Because I think the obligatory, like, well, I guess this is because I don't like working, but I like acting. And sometimes I get paid to act, and that's pretty dope. So to be able to sit at home and tape the thing, or to go to a place and tape the thing, it's supposed to be a good time, ideally. And I love that you have a place in your basement, because there's also the comfort of not needing to upend your entire life to go somewhere to make it happen.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And you're so right about auditioning. It's also auditioning is, we have control as actors. That's where we have control. Because once we send that audition away, it's in the ether, it's in the world, we have no control. The scene could be cut, they could lose their funding, the role could go to the director's wife, which has happened to me before. We have zero control.
Yeah.
The control we have is on the mark in that world, in this world that we create for ourselves and for the reader. And what I like is that, look who I get to be for 10 minutes.
Yes.
Right? This character. Look, I mean, I just auditioned for a role where a woman, she hits her husband in the head with a blender. I was like, look who I get to be. This is fun.
Everybody whose cameras are on, their eyes went.
I guess I'm a little twisted. I don't know.
No, but I think that is a good time. I think that's the whole make-believe, compassion, dress up part. I mean, because it is fun to get. I had an audition for like a publicist in like a Nickelodeon movie on Paramount Plus or something, and it was like, what is the most colorful thing I put on like prop jewelry, and like got to kind of like, you get to play dress up if you're doing it in a way that's still filling your soul. Because if you have lost all joy and you fucking hate it, that also reads too. No matter how well you're doing it, the like animosity is palpable nevertheless.
Yes, for sure. But going back to wardrobe, I have audition wardrobe. I have things that that Catherine wouldn't wear, but there are some characters that I audition for that would absolutely wear them. Yes, so ma'am. Yeah, it is dress up for sure.
I wish my wig game was a little bit better, because not every role calls for a pixie cut. Not everyone can have a 9-year-old white boy's haircut. So if anybody has any recommendations for like a good place to go, holla at your girl. But the costume thing and putting it aside is actually really helpful, because, and it's gonna get woo-woo for a second, guys, go with me. But energetically, you also want to be careful about what you're bringing into your house, what you're bringing into your body, and then what you're leaving there. Because if you don't have any sort of tactic to let a character go, that is unhealthy. In short, that is unhealthy. So you, oh yeah, somebody said call Carol because she's got me on wigs. Carol Caboyle will hook me up. You're totally right. But it is unhealthy. So if you don't have a way to shake off your character, that's absolutely something to talk about. We've had a chat about that on here before, but yoga, whatever wellness or meditation you need to work on. I'd love to hear what you do, Catherine. But I say that because there are certain roles where I got my scrubs. My mom's a nurse. I stole some of her clothes. I've got my like little scrubs over in the corner, but there's also a couple of shirts and outfits that anytime I end up having to wear this like gray crew neck shirt, it's either some like really sad military thing or some like devastated mom or some like post-apocalyptic whatever. So I don't want to put that on for date night because I think some part of your brain is also going, oh yeah, that's the shirt where I'm sad. So I think it is healthy to kind of set some stuff aside if you can, because it's not, it ain't tricking if you got it. But like if you put some stuff aside, it's okay. I think it's helpful to have a separate situation, and it's a tax write-off if you have your own business. If you are buying, because God knows, so many of my target V-necks have ended up in somebody's audition. So at some point you have to, that wear and tear is also incorporated to the business. We'll talk about taxes another time, but having separate clothes, playing the dress up is really fun.
I have a bunch of suits.
Mm-hmm.
I audition for a lot of suit roles.
I've got many a Calvin Klein dress. Yes. I know exactly what you mean.
Perfect. Calvin Klein stuff is perfect for auditions. And also what I suggest people to do is go to Value Village, go to Goodwill, go wherever, buy a good looking, fine suit or whatever it is you need, get it dry cleaned. And there you have, the beginning of your audition wardrobe. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money.
Yeah. Because the truth is it also will just like sit in your closet. Unless you like, I don't know, burn some sage on your gray t-shirt and then you can wear it.
Well, there's that for sure. Yep.
So you
have sage. Hold on one second. I have sage spray in my basement. We spray sage spray.
It's a real thing.
Before every audition.
Bundles of rosemary, and do what you got to do to keep the space safe and healthy for you energetically, emotionally, mentally, physically. Because it's a long road. And what people don't realize, especially like the laymen don't realize, is your body doesn't know the difference. If you're doing it well, your body doesn't realize that you didn't just have a miscarriage. Your body doesn't realize that your mom is actually still alive and healthy and 2 counties over. So you want to be able to separate those things and regenerate in a way that is sustainable. It's simply sustainable, because we see what happens, unfortunately, to the actors who are method and commit too much, and you unravel. I remember listening to an interview where Lupita was talking about the fact that emotionally she still has not recovered from 12 Years a Slave. Like she's still traumatized by that experience.
I would think
the same thing about The Help.
Yeah.
So
I'll bet. Yeah.
So you want to be careful. So you score your script, you figure out what dress up opportunity you have in the closet, and then you set up your lights, which I heard you say. I imagine Jason reads with you. Do you work with other readers? How does that? How do you do your reader part?
It is usually
change genders. Do you sometimes change?
No. I never worry about gender. I have to say, I gotta say hello to my sweetheart Israel Vaughn. Hi, darling.
Yeah. Hi, Izzy.
Izzy. Oh, yeah. We love our Izzy.
Hello. Sorry, I'm driving home from actually prepping an audition at the library. So.
Okay, good. Keep driving. Keep your eyes on the road. You don't have to have a female reader if you're doing a scene with a female. It does not matter. Mm-hmm. And I also advocate that people don't get people who want to be actors as readers, because they can be distracting.
Way too many choices, Mom. You're making way too many choices.
Yeah. And I also, yes, Jason is my reader when we tape at home. When he's out of town, when he's shooting, I'll have one of my girlfriends come over who's not an actor, and she loves doing it. She gets giddy doing, oh, this is so much fun. But I challenge you to ask any acting couple that you know who tape together if those are their biggest fights.
You know what? I'm not going to stir up anybody else's relationship, but I believe the answer is yes. And is it because they want to give you direction you don't want to take? Like, what is the thing? My partner's a data scientist. Like, he doesn't care.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, it's a little, are you sure you want to make that? Let's try, what if, and sometimes you're just like, let me just get through it. Let me just get through it. And then we can discuss it. So yeah, it can be frustrating. And then there's a time crunch, which adds to the stress level of it. But I do ask, acting couples, I said, do you guys fight because I just want to know, is it just me? Everyone goes, oh my God, they're epic. Our fights are epic.
I will say too, the friends whose partners are DPs, which is oddly several, that's also like you did great, but the lighting is just like not hitting your eyes. Can you mind doing one more for me, just so I can? It's like,
oh no!
Let me edit my audition.
Oh,
that's hilarious. Okay, so you have your footage. You did it. We hear a lot about how it's not appropriate not appropriate. You are not doing yourself a favor by taping your one line 40 times. You're not doing a favor if you're taping your 8 pages 20 times. If you can't do it in 2 to 3 takes, then there's something to go back to the drawing board about. I'm curious about your thoughts on this.
I'll give you 5. I'll give you 5 times. I'll give you 5. If you are, you only get worse. If you're getting into 9, 10, 11, 12, you're going down, 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 down. And Jason, here's a story. Jason was a reader for Jessica Fox a while back. You know Jessica? You know Jessica Fox Casting?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah. And he was the reader for their callbacks. And a young woman came in, did the scene, and had a very, very difficult time. And she did it a few times, and then she was given direction, and they said, okay, thank you very much. And the girl left, the young woman left, and Jessica said, Jason, I don't understand. Her audition was great when she sent in the tape. Jason said, oh, of course it was great. She probably did it 30 times. They chose the very best take. She was probably with her boyfriend or a friend who she's comfortable with, but she couldn't replicate it in the room. She had no idea what she was doing. So yeah,
in this
what's
market,
that?
I said it becomes difficult in this market in Atlanta. We're in Atlanta, if you don't know, but so many of the auditions are self-tapes. Yeah, I think this is what hurt our market initially with people not taking us seriously, because so much of it was self-tapes. People would do 40 takes with their one line, they get on set and they can't get through it. And then it's like, oh, these Atlanta actors don't know what they're doing. So I think now we're getting to a position where people are getting those series regular auditions, those guest star auditions, and actually getting paid those rates. But it took a while, and I think it's because of that habit about because the weeding out process of callbacks in person is a very real thing that very rarely happens in this market.
Right. I am, and you can't do something like in your taping. I love the first part of that one and the second part of that one. You can't be editing your tapes together, which some people have asked us in the taping room at Drama Inc. Well, can I do part? I was like, God, no, no, of course you can't do that.
What I find most liberating, and again, I don't know how many people are new or you've been doing it, but this is helpful information. What I find the most liberating is like one audition I had, I fucking killed it. I was killing it, and then I sneezed. And I kept going. I was like, I don't know, it's fine. People sneeze in real life. And it was okay. Because at the end of the day, it was honest. And the rest of it was fine. If the sneeze is distracting them, I guess I wasn't right, because God forbid I sneeze on set and they ask me, like, whatever. Like, I think there's a point where you have to just like let go and let God. And you just like, this is what I was able to do. And I really like this. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. I don't know. But I think there are moments like that, the, psychological gestures of scratching your head, or you might end up adjusting. Or I had an audition recently. The woman was in a diner and was kind of an asshole. And I was just like eating a slice of pizza in the middle of the scene. Because I also hadn't had dinner, and they didn't give me a long enough turnaround for me to not be eating in that scene. So I went ahead and had my pizza, and it worked so well with the character. But I think that's also a different conversation about props, about how much you're doing stuff in your house that is not helping, and the things that aren't taking away, and what that difference is. I'm curious about your thoughts on that.
You're hitting, the nails on the head. Yes. So eating, that is, you got to know the rules to break the rules.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a way to eat on camera, and a casting director several months ago posted, I don't know if it was on Twitter, wherever it was, he said, people, please stop eating on camera. The reason, and then there was all sorts of blowback, of course, as there usually is. The reason he said that was because people had terrible table manners. He said they were talking with their mouths full, and he was getting absolutely repulsed by watching so many people eat. There is a way to eat.
Loud
yeah,
yeah.
Smacking. So my business partner, Claire Bronson, she posted an audition, and then she booked the job, and she posted the scene, and the audition was her eating dinner at the dinner table, family dinner. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the show, but she was great in it. And she ate so beautifully. And so, I mean, she had a prop. She was putting something on a fork and taking a bite. And then it was almost verbatim in the scene on set. But she knew how to do it. I don't advocate eating unless you really know how to do it, or if you're supposed to take a bite out of something, like, or go and take some popcorn. You've got to know how to do it, right?
Because sometimes miming is more distracting than you actually doing the thing. Because no one should.
Stop miming.
Love this chicken.
Hello.
That is not the move.
Don't mime. If you're going to mime something, it's got to be out of this frame that we're in, right? So if I'm, hi, how are you? I'm going to shake your hand. You see my hands moving, right? You see what's happening. Nice to meet you. You don't need to have this in frame. Don't mime if you can absolutely not mime. And the only prop, in my opinion, I'll bet Alex Collins said the same thing. The only prop that you should use is a phone. And that's if there's a phone in the scene.
Right.
If there's a phone in the scene, use the phone. Just, don't cover your face. And if you're going to use, like speakerphone, don't do this business, because you see how that looks right now, right? You see the perspective.
And even if, because there's a gray area in what you just said too. There's a prop, and it's okay to use a phone. It's also okay to have the thing out of frame. I need to be texting in the scene, and then this is what you're doing. Because the issue is that they can't see your eyes.
Yes.
Your eyes need to be visible, because your eyes are what's telling the story. It doesn't matter what you're saying. It doesn't matter what you're saying, say the things, but you want to.
I'm texting right here. So
it feels unnatural. Sorry, you shouldn't have been able to see my phone, but it feels unnatural, but you want to do it in a position where your eyes are still visible. So
absolutely.
So tip.
This is the storytelling. The storytelling is right here. So when we look down, when we, we're blocking the audience from us.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't want to do.
That was a hard lesson for me to learn, because I'm one of those people where I will look everywhere in the room trying to gather my thoughts, but you can't look too far off and you can't look too far down, but you need to show that you're thinking. So it's just okay, I got to pick different places on the person's body so there are parameters to the things, but you don't want to get so technical that you lose the truth.
There's a phrase that I coined, and it's called halo of the lens. And I know Israel is smiling right now. If you've heard this from anyone, they learned it from me. Okay. So if this is the lens of the camera, right? There's an imaginary halo around it. Okay. So your reader is either on this side or on this side, right? Your reader isn't over there.
Right.
So if you're talking about the moon, it's at the top portion of the halo of the lens. If you're talking about a campfire, it's at the bottom portion of the halo of the lens. Y'all, I just gave you that for free.
That was at least $250 worth of knowledge.
That's the eyelines are so important, and audition techniques so important. And if you're a bus driver and you're driving the bus, you're yelling at the kids behind you. Well, the camera sees the back of your head.
Right.
So you're putting the kids to the other side of the halo of the lens. So I'm driving the bus. Hey, you kids, quiet down back there.
Right.
Right.
The rear view.
We're not losing this.
That's actually really, really good point. And I feel like Alex actually may have mentioned this as well, because I think this is who I learned this from, when it comes to like really codifying it. But if you're looking, so this is camera, obviously don't look into camera. You can put one person here, and then the other person, if there's two people in the scene, automatically go ahead and put them on the other side of camera. If there's a third person, they're on the outside of the first person. If there's a fourth person, that seems complicated. And I don't know. No, I'm kidding. On the other side, like as many eye lines as you need, you put people different places so you can differentiate between what's happening.
I will keep my, if it's more, yes. So here's the lens, one person here, one person here. If there are other people, I will put all of them on one side and my main person I'm talking to on the other side. So I might vary my eye a little bit, right? So if I'm talking to one person and then I'll look over here and say, well, oh, did you really agree with that? I didn't agree with that. I don't know if that read what I just did.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so instead of going, you know, looking at all the people. So yeah, close to lens. Yeah, on the outside of the other person. Yes, right. Alex is right. So two people here. I kind of keep it at three people.
I can't think of a scene where I've had to talk to more than three people. Because
unless you're, you know, a minister or something, right? And then you're talking to the group, but it's going to be the halo of the lens. It's going to be, you know, outside of the halo of the lens. Your eyes will go here, here. It's not going to be, oh, thank you, you know, here, welcome to Sunday morning. It's going to be, welcome everyone. I'm so glad you're here in church today.
And I will say one thing. I have this really bad habit of like my head is always kind of cocked to the side, no matter what. I think subconsciously because I'm so honest and direct, and sometimes people find that off-putting because I'm a Black woman. I have like actually very unconsciously started like, so it's not as direct because I'm not looking straight at you. It's kind of fucked up. It's fine. But I say that because I was taping an audition and the person was like, if you want to put something all the way over there, or maybe you need to, it's really far in the distance. I think it was Robert De Niro. This is his technique where if the camera's here, you could be looking here. If you're going to look all the way over there, don't move your head. That was still a better tip to keep things in the halo. But if you really, because you're not losing eyes that way. Really, it's really powerful, but I don't know. I haven't quite mastered that.
Keep your eyes on the same plane as the lens, right? I mean, you know, sometimes we think and we'll think about what we're going to say. Well, now you can't see me, right? So if I'm doing the scene, I have to think about what I need to say.
Right.
Keep your eyes on the same plane as the lens.
No, it's awesome. Okay, so we've hit some really solid stuff. What should beginner actors know about so they can grow their auditioning skills, and is that different advice than you'd give more seasoned actors?
No, I would tell beginning actors to really get rid of any desperation, and I would tell all actors, especially beginner actors, that casting directors are not gods. They are people. They are human beings just like us. They need you. We need them. We are all in this together. We're all colleagues. Take the desperation out of auditioning, because, you know, it's, you know, I used to say that you could, there's a fly in here. I used to say that you could, you know, they can smell desperation from the parking lot. Of course, that's when we were going in person.
Yeah.
Desperation is palpable. And if you don't book the job, you don't book the job. You just move on to the next audition. It's not that big a deal. I promise, I promise, I promise.
And I think it's worth mentioning too, because I think desperation invokes a specific thought for people, but it's not just desperation. It's like over eagerness as well. I just want to, please like me, please. I want to please. It's not, I really need this job. It's also like, bro, walk in, be confident, be pleasant. Or you're, you know, here, be pleasant and just do the thing. Because at the end of the day, and who says this? It was like, how does Alyssa Milano walk into the audition? She's not leaving her bag in the room, in the lobby. She's not, oh, okay, hey, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to, she walks in and she's like, what's up, guys? How you doing? I don't know Melissa Milano. I don't know if she talks like that. But, it's very personable, because the truth is there's a point where your power, and stay with me on this, may begin to outweigh the person who's auditioning you. But what I'm really getting at is everybody is actually at the same place. Of course, put ego aside, be a good human. But the reality is that you do have so much more power than you realize. So it's not just the no, it's not just the boundaries. It's also like, we're working on the same thing with the same goal. You're hoping I'm really good, and I'm hoping that I'm what you need.
Exactly. They want to tick off a box. Yep. Boom. All right. She's got to call back. Let's go.
Internalize that, but that's the crux of it.
You're so right. You're so right. And it makes me cringe when someone says, I just want to do what they want. You who knows? They might not even know.
Baby, that's not what you need to do.
So you have to go in and show them yourself, and be honest, and be focused, be authentic, and make strong choices. Don't worry about what they want. I've had people reach out to me to tape them, coach them for auditions for Stranger Things because I was on it. I'm like,
that's not how this works.
I mean, I'll coach you, but I'm not going to give you anything special, because I just went in and I was myself, and I was honest in my work. The craft of acting is not to act, right? Yeah. It's replicate human behavior honestly.
And that's what they mean when they're like, grounded. It's not like it needs to be down here and whispered, which is heavily what people choose to do when they hear that. It's just, and what is Alex says this, and I feel bad I'm quoting him so much tonight, but it's the Starbucks test. Like, if you're doing a scene with somebody, you'd want it to be able, if somebody was sitting at a different table, you'd want them to think the conversation you were having was real, not you practicing the scene for acting class. Like, it needs to be able to pass that metric.
Oh, that's fun. He's got a bunch of
hearing this dialogue where they think this was real.
Yeah. That's a good one.
And I don't know what it is about people getting lines and all of a sudden they're like, summer options are important, and all this, like, all of your humanity falls away. like just be a person. Just be a person. But it's hard to be a person. And I think that's why people find the acting work and sometimes use it in place of therapy, because if you aren't understanding of who you are, who are you bringing to the person that you're putting on? Because when people say, it's you, what they want is you. If you don't know who you are, that doesn't mean anything to you at all. And it's easier said than done, right? You spend years trying to figure out who you are as a person, your wants, your needs, the nuance, your triggers, those kinds of things. But exactly to your point, Catherine, when the audition that you and I could get could be the same,
Absolutely. Oh, for sure.
Strong features, direct, honest woman.
There's a little bit of an age difference, a little bit, but yes, strong female roles.
We could both fucking kill it.
Yes.
But what we're giving is not the same thing, because we're different people.
Right.
And that's what's,
I can't do what you do. You can't do what I do. Yeah. Our essences are.
And that's it. You can be in the exact same, and Erica Breen posted about this on Twitter today. You could be the exact same type of somebody. Danielle Detweiler and I, for all intents and purposes, are probably.
Oh my God, that woman.
You know who I'm not? Danielle fucking Detweiler, because Jesus Christ, that woman's amazing. But
no, I'm not.
It isn't the same. Technically, Tina and I would be in the same category.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
You would be. So I shot a film with her.
Mm-hmm. A film with her?
The Devil to Pay.
Oh, yes.
And this is why I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. I don't want to get you off track, but this is a woman whose talent is such that you cannot be envious. You cannot be jealous. You can't. Why not me? You just sit back and go, are you fucking kidding me with this woman?
You're just incredulous. Somewhere down the road. It's not butter. That's it. I know. Thank you. I was hoping
Danielle
one person
Detweiler.
needed to giggle. But even just, and what's wild, and this is the magic of the audition, guys. And I'm saying it like I'm some sort of authority. I'm not. But if you've seen the episode of Atlanta where they go to the party at Drake's house, I think this is like season 2. She is probably only in 2 scenes. That is what you remember about that entire episode. Not only is that what you remember from that entire episode, I'm pretty sure those 2 scenes is what catapulted her career.
She's a remarkable talent, and I think I think some of my sisters have seen and my brother's seen that film, and they know who I'm talking about. So yes, you guys need to look this woman up. You are similar types, very similar, but yeah, I see differences.
Yeah.
I totally see differences, but I can see you auditioning for the same.
And that's okay too, because sometimes, you tape your audition and it's like shitting in a river. I didn't make this analogy, but I like it. And you just don't know where it ends up. It happened, but there's no proof. There's no, did I do that? Was it good? And you may never hear anything. And I think people don't understand what that feels like. And that is hard to cope with. However, you could turn in an audition that you're like, no one can tell me I didn't do that. No one can say that wasn't it. However, what they might have needed was somebody who was 2 inches shorter than you.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter how good you were, you just were a little too tall.
Exactly.
So unless what they need is you, it's not going to be you, and that's okay, because it's not necessarily because you're bad or because you're not pretty enough or you're not whatever. It's just that it wasn't yours, and what is for you will be yours.
Yes, absolutely. That's 100%, and it's hard. It's
so
hard to learn. It took me a long time to get to where I am mentally, in terms of this business. Now I'm, and I'm not going to play the game of, if I haven't had an audition in a month, I'm not going to play the game of, I haven't auditioned in ages. Oh my God, what's happening? I refuse to give in to that negative energy, because it's cyclical. It goes up and down and up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Round and round. I guess cyclical is round and round, isn't it?
Well, this is actually perfect timing, because I wanted to ask you a question about timing. You are clearly a phenomenal actress.
I don't know about that. That's a huge word.
I said what I said. Let me finish my sentence. You are clearly a phenomenal actress. And it's proven time and time again. And I lost my train of thought because you interrupted me. I was going to make such a good point. Oh, no. This is it. I came back. You're phenomenal. And you have been training for so long. You learn from teaching. You've helped guide other people's careers. But I would say that it wasn't, they say luck is when opportunity and preparedness meet each other. Timing is also very real. And it wasn't just coming to Atlanta. I think part of what also really helped you, and this is what I'm hoping happens for me, is that you were believably the age to have the authority that you command on camera. And this is something, I had a career consultation with Alex. This is actually how I first met him. And I'm sure he never told you this. And I met you today, so I've never told you this. But in that consultation, what he did was he was like, these are other actresses who are similar to you, and you can kind of compare your careers to them. So you see what they're doing, you can see like maybe what the trajectory is gonna be, but it's likely because of everything I auditioned for is FBI agent, resident doctor, lieutenant of whatever. I might be in my 30s, but that might not be believable. And it's mostly because Blacks don't crack and 40-year-old Black women are playing 30-year-old Black women, and y'all are welcome. You're welcome for the melanin. But as it stands, it's gonna take me a second to be able to really ramp up the way I would like to be working in a consistent way. And it's just because people don't believe it, because I read a little too young, but I'm also too old to play like college now. So it's like, does she have kids? Does she not have kids? And we'll see where that lands. But I wonder how you feel about the role timing has played in your career. And if there's anything you can speak to in that, because one of the people he referenced was you, and how now where you are, I mean, obviously your resume spans back and in a really deep way. But in the last 10 years, arguably, there's been this. I mean, I haven't acted with Benicio del Toro, is what I'm trying to say. So how do you feel timing is played? I've vamped enough. I'm sorry.
Timing, timing is everything. Yeah, finally, like I said, we're moving to Atlanta. Timing, however, timing in my personhood, for freaking sure. I don't know that 20 years ago I could have done exactly what you said. The FBI agent, the woman in charge of the hard ass divorce lawyer. I don't know that it would have been believable, but I am confident. I mean, I wish I'd had this confidence in my 20s. I really do. I am confident in who I am. I am confident in when I walk into the room, you guys, or Zoom room, whatever. Right. I know what I bring. I am confident that I know I can be on set with fucking Benicio del Toro and go, okay, we're colleagues.
Yeah.
Inside I'm going,
right.
but I, we're here for the same goal. We're here for the exact same reasons. So age is wonderful in this business. Jedediah, I'm looking at you. Age is great because we know who we are. You know what? We don't have those nagging insecurities. I mean, I've got some insecurities. It's not like I'm walking around, thinking I'm the greatest. But in terms of what I bring to the table, I know what I can bring, and I'm confident. However, do you listen to Sam Jones' off-camera podcast?
I love it. And I don't think he's put out new episodes since like the pandemic started, but I've listened to every single one that was with a person of color. Let me clarify that. Or with a woman.
Oh, okay. So Sam Jones off camera, you guys, you actors listen to it because he's just fantastic. And what was the common theme between actors, male, female, black, white, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, their common theme was fear.
Yep.
Fear. They are all still scared. I don't know who walks onto a set. I don't know if De Niro walks onto a set like, I got this.
Yes.
I'm confident in what I bring, but then walking onto a set is a completely different story. And I am like Miss Meditation, crunchy, spa radio all over me.
It's shade spray. You got to take it. It's a spray, so it's portable.
Yeah, for sure. So yes, confident in what I do, but then actually doing it and being there and being on the set and being present. I need every bit of, I like to say I have my 3 Ps. I'm professional, I'm prepared, and I come from a place of peace, meaning I've done my meditation, I've done my stretching, I've worked on my body, my instrument. So I can't walk onto the set knowing that I have done what I need to do. Did I answer that question at all?
Totally. And I think part of it too really just comes with age.
It does.
Right now that I thought I knew everything at 22, 23, and now I talk to 23-year-olds and I'm like, oh, you're so sweet. You're such a baby. And I'm not that much older, but I think there is something where you hit these like 5-year increments or these 10-year increments where it's just like, whatever, man. You just realize the stakes are so low and they're not in the places that you put them. And when you realize that those things, you can approach life very differently. I've got that. And this is how I knew I had grown. I knocked something over and it spilled everywhere the other day. And I was just like, where's the closest rag? It wasn't, fuck, oh no, oh God. It wasn't this angry thing. It was just like, oh, I knocked this thing over. Wow. The thing getting knocked over isn't gonna ruin my day. Like the stakes are so low. And I think that's the cleanest way I can put it is that I hope people find a way. And I think this is when I see a lot of people find peace. It's the things that you thought that mattered are completely irrelevant. There's so many rules that we follow that mean absolutely nothing. Yeah. And are completely made up. And we can just let all of them go. Okay. I have 3 more questions. 2 of them I will leave and I'll ask you offline because I want to give people a chance to ask you questions. But my last question is how do you find balance in your life as a working actor?
Alcohol.
Hey, turn out. Okay, no, sorry.
I know my family laughed. um, well, so I have 3 businesses. I own Drama Inc. I own the CEO, that is, I'm the CEO of Catherine Dyer, and I'm a headshot photographer as well.
I didn't know that.
Yes, yes. Which I love doing. I have to absolutely give myself at least one day off where I don't do anything, and my husband is adamant. He said, "Or just don't. You can't answer emails," because I'm constantly wanting to go. All right, I need to get this. I need to do that. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I I need to take those breaks. I meditate more when I'm working.
Yes.
I don't do it on a daily routine. Maybe I should. I don't know. No shoulds or shouldn'ts.
Right.
But as long as I do it when I'm working. I love my home life. We don't have kids. So that's nice. We're both homebodies. And I love being here, and especially since I don't know if you heard about this global pandemic thing that happened.
No, I'm not sure.
Okay, all right, we'll talk later.
Yeah.
So I would love even more being home, and spending time with my little tiny baby family with my 2 dogs.
Okay, I was gonna say, I know you have fur babies.
Yes.
So you take time when you need time. You do multiple things so that your focus isn't singular, and you place a priority on engaging with your family and being in a place of physical and literal peace.
Yes. My home is my sanctuary. And lately it's been sort of disturbed because I live in a very small house. It's a small old house. My neighbors put in a pool. I don't know if you've ever lived next door to someone who's built a pool, but it's awful. Anyway, so they're done, so I'm trying to get back to my Zen living.
Okay. And something I wanted to say, I forgot about this earlier. I thank you for everything that you've said tonight, Catherine. You are a beacon of light, honesty, information, grace. Something I think people need to remember, if you take nothing else away from this, is that everybody is just a person, and everybody's trying. And they might not be trying that hard, or they're trying really hard and it's too hard, but generally speaking, everybody's just trying, and people are just people. And I think that's when you get on set in front of somebody really important and you're like, I'm here just like you're here. Because what I loved about the Sam Jones podcast was that a lot of people would go like, first day on set, I'm really nervous. And I'm like,
Right.
You're nervous? Your first day on, like, you? But I think everybody has that, right? Like Beyonce has to get up and brush her teeth in the morning. Like, these are not duties. So I think realizing that we're all kind of at the same place, people are just significantly more influential and have a lot more money and somebody who cooks meals for them. But otherwise, we're all the same.
We are all the same. Don't place anyone above you.
Yeah. So take that and
don't do it.
For sure. Okay. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. Catherine, do you have a few minutes to answer questions from the audience?
I would love to. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. Let me minimize my screen. It's easier. And I will spotlight you if you're comfortable. I will unspotlight myself, and the two of you can have a conversation.
Oh, okay.
If it's helpful, it is helpful, I mean to say, to make the conversations more, the questions a little bit more general so they're applicable to everyone. But if you've got like a one-on-one thing you want to ask, I will not gatekeep.
Can we go to Joy Cooper's about SAG versus non-SAG?
Yes. Joy, go ahead and unmute yourself. And once I find you, I will make sure you're up there with her. I cannot find you.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, just asking that question because I've heard so many different things. I am SAG, and I was just like wondering how the industry works in regards to that.
Well, I don't see you, Joy, but
it's not letting me spotlight you.
Really? Oh, I don't have my camera on right now.
Maybe.
Okay. So if you're SAG, Joy, then you cannot work any non-union jobs. Full stop.
Full stop.
Full stop. You cannot work any non-union jobs. If you are, for those of you who are not SAG, you can work both non-union jobs and union jobs. You know, I suggest Georgia, right to work state. Thank you. Right to work state, Georgia. I advocate for newer actors to not rush out and join the union, yet. Mm-hmm. Yet is the key word there. I'm a union person. I believe in the unions. Build your resume on non-union jobs. Okay. Oh, I see you now, Joy. Build your resume on non-union jobs. But Joy, since you're SAG, you've got to stick with SAG jobs, SAG after jobs. You can't do anything non-union because they will find out and you'll get fined. And I know people do it. And on SAG sets, there are SAG representatives that come around and talk to people.
Yeah, no, I've been going to just straight SAG jobs, but I've just been hearing so many different things. So I just wanted to know, you know, sometimes you don't know the game of everything. And so I just wanted to throw it out there.
Good.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for asking. Thank you, Profound, for sliding in my DMs and telling me that people can only be spotlighted if their cameras are on. Some of you have asked some really great questions in the chat, but we were talking and I wasn't looking. So if you could just kind of say me and we'll go through go through and ask your questions that way, it'll be easier to address. Janet Adebayo asked if she has a Nigerian accent. I did catch that question. And if that might be the thing that could be hindering, because sometimes when it's, barista, is the accent an issue, do you think?
Janet, is that the name? Janet?
Janet, yeah. Oh,
okay.
Great, Janet.
So Janet, I would advocate, here comes my senior dog. I would advocate that if you think this is holding you back, that you maybe get private coaching or take an accent reduction class. However, you're learning general American or standard stage. You're not reduced. I don't want you to lose your accent because I'll bet you have a beautiful accent. You know, I don't think anyone should lose their natural accent, but you're adding this general American accent to your actor's tool belt. So when you're barista number one, you can come out with your general American accent. Mm-hmm. So if that's something that you think is holding you back, which could be, I mean, that's a small pigeonhole. So I would think about doing that.
And that is a very tangible thing, to find a way to make your accent optional. But also, you know, don't be ashamed of where you're from. Naija for life, my sister. Janet's so supportive.
Absolutely. No, I really don't want people to lose their accents. It makes America what America is. All these people from wonderful people from all over the world coming here.
Come on, somebody. I'm glad you're paying attention. Not everybody seems to know. We're a melting pot, or at least that's what they would tell us. Shanice,
Shanice Littlejohn.
Hey.
Hi, gorgeous. How are you?
Good. I've missed you.
I'm happy to see your face.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I don't know if I've asked you this before, but so you talked a lot about timing and how like it was your time to move to Atlanta, and that was when you hit a sweet spot with you know, getting roles and acting and auditioning. As you know, I live in Charlotte. At what point, and like I'm getting auditions here, but at what point do you think how do I know when it's my time to move to Atlanta? And even for actors who are in Atlanta, how do they know when it's their time to leave Atlanta and enter a bigger market?
They should leave Atlanta and enter a bigger market. I mean, it's all here, right? It's all, I mean, if you really want to move to LA, yes, but if you're in Atlanta, build up your resume, then move to LA. That's totally cool, but there's just so much work here. That's a tough one to answer. I think that's up to you. I think you're gonna know when you are ready to move down here. You know, you can still stay in Charlotte and audition as long as the agent knows or the casting director knows that you're not Atlanta local, you know. And then what's so important is that not being a local, if the date changes and you're in Charlotte and they say, or you need to be here tomorrow morning. You know, if you're in Atlanta local, you go, okay, I'll be there, but that's scary if you're out of town. It's doable to move down here. You've got Drama Inc. as a community. You know what? People can help you out in terms of roommates, jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's a real personal decision to make. And I'm not of any help to you at all, am I?
No, I agree with that.
Oh,
sorry. I was gonna say,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go. You go. No, you go.
Okay, so I was just gonna say, no, it's very helpful. I actually reached out to someone and we're discussing like me moving in with them, and they are part of the Drama Inc. community. But I'm terrified. It would mean leaving everything here, leaving my teaching job here, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's a really, really big jump for me to not be where I want to be in my acting career, to take that kind of leap of faith.
It is
that if I do move, it will all work out. But I also, like, one of the like walls that I'm hitting is like, I'm now at the point in my resume where I could be like getting an agent, and I've been submitting, but because I'm not Atlanta local, I'm like modified local. I'm not getting anybody in large part because of pandemic policy, but also
right.
So it's like either I move or I keep doing the roles that I'm doing here.
So I think that calls for the old pro-con list. That calls for meditating on it, praying on it, whatever you like to do, really being thoughtful about that decision, because it is scary. It is a huge jump. I like to think that we always land on our feet. I like to trust. So, and it's once you make that decision, you know, things will fall into place.
I think too, when it comes to having people moving out of Atlanta and to LA, people that I've seen do that end up moving back to Atlanta. And the best, I need to stop saying all the cheese in Atlanta. Giving myself away. But
you are.
What I found to be best is to have a manager or an additional agent in a different market. And that's the game changer, because part of the issue here is also people getting paid for the actual billing that they're getting, or getting the correct billing. And you get to kind of jump over that if you've got a rep in New York or LA, because they're getting the correct breakdown. So you can just have them negotiate it instead of your other agent. But she's right. It's up to you. I didn't need to piggyback on that. It was really just the other part about leaving. Don't leave.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Shanice. Next, we've got Elizabeth. Elizabeth, if you don't mind, you can go ahead and start talking, and then I will find you.
Hi. So I'm a college student in New York, and I just wanted to thank both of you before I ask the question about that you were talking about being, you know, a young woman. You don't have to take everything, and if something feels like a little awkward, you know, just don't do it, because that happens a lot. You're like reading something and like, I don't know, this seems awkward or weird, and it ends up being like that. But it's nice to have women like you give that feedback, because a lot of the professors are men and they don't quite get that. But my question is, so when you're doing an audition, reading, taping, what have you, when you get a script where it does have long pauses and it's very like odd, like it's not the other person talking, it's just literally silent, or if it's something weird where you have to kind of like, your voice kind of breaks and then there's a weird silence, how do you prepare for that? Because as a college student, we, you know, a lot of stuff is still remote, so we're still sending self-tapes into our professors for acting, and you know, I find myself looking at something going, this is silence, I don't know how to do this, and with the pandemic you're not getting the feedback.
When you are in a scene and the other person is talking, I have one word for you: listen.
No, but when no one's
like,
talking, it's just silent.
Yeah, no one's talking.
why would there be that silence if I don't understand the scene then?
Yeah.
It was something I got for my final, and I was reading it, and I think it was this girl was in a mental hospital. It wasn't even clear, but she was just talking in very weird patterns. And there was a long
Okay, well that makes sense. It's sort of a soliloquy or a monologue. She's a disturbed woman in a hospital, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can Google that. You can Girl Interrupted. That's a great film to watch.
Mhm.
You know how there can be just this sort of talking to yourself. You're going on and on and on and on talking to yourself. That's okay. That's fine. But think about so you live in New York City?
Sort of close enough. Yeah, like an hour train ride, not even.
Have you ever walked down the streets of Manhattan and seen someone talking to themselves?
Yeah.
Yes, you have. They are talking to someone very real to them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're not just going blah, 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 blah. They're having a conversation with their mother, their father, their child, their grandmother, a teacher. There's someone that they are talking to. You know, when they're, doing something weird physically, there was something in their mind very real that they are doing. Does that help at all?
It does. It does. So would you, like, when you're talking about like the ring around like the camera, would you just pick a spot?
Yes.
Yep. You have to audition. You don't know what's talking.
Yeah, no. So I mean, you're talking, you're just talking to yourself, and then maybe you look away a little bit and then come back. I wouldn't have it like a monologue. You're talking to one person, because it's like when you're talking on the phone. You do a scene. You're talking on the phone. You don't look at one spot when you're talking on the phone. You talk to someone like this, and you kind of look around when you're. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and like for the other part with there's a break and when there's a long silence and your voice breaks, how do you prepare for that?
I don't understand. Is it in the script the voice breaks?
Yeah.
That means you're about to cry. That means that you're about to cry.
Okay.
That sounds like a very emotional scene.
It's a really weird monologue. But it's not the weirdest I've seen in plays.
Elizabeth, take the weirdness off of it and find the humanity and the truthfulness in it. Okay, don't say it's weird. It's someone's life. We're portraying humanity. So when you're weird about it or judging it, it's weird. Find the truth and the honesty, authenticity in it.
So when you audition, you just have to take all that away and just don't judge the person.
Yeah, I mean, think of Connie Frazier. You know what? I had to find a reason why for the audition. Why did this woman walk into a restaurant and shoot a man? Why? I had to come up with a reason. I had to make it very real for myself. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Take your judgment off of it.
It's hard because when you have to do it and you're just thinking like, God, this is so awkward. And
all right, listen, take the words out, hard and awkward. Don't ever say that again.
Okay.
All right. It's not hard. It's you do the job and you be honest. That's all that matters is your honesty.
Thank you.
That was lovely. That was very sincere. And I'm sorry that all your teachers are dudes. Know that there's a community of women that are going to support you. And if you need to kind of run things by people to make sure, as women, we're taught so much to gaslight ourselves into like, oh no, I think I'm just overreacting, or maybe I just am thinking. So, if you need someone to touch base with a thing, know that people exist. People are here for that. Storyteller Sessions is great for stuff like that. Maura, I wanted me to come back. Dawn, do you want to unmute yourself? You have a question, or do you want me to just read it out loud?
I recently got a great role, and I had a fabulous time. And I wanted to reach out to the casting director, although they had many casting directors. I didn't know who was responsible really. But I wanted to know, is it appropriate to just say, to send emails, or is it considered stalking or weird or?
Dawn, that's a really good question. Really good question. Who is the casting director who cast you in that role? Who sent you the audition?
Well, I had an agent, and then it was shot in Louisiana. So they had a LA crew, and then they had a casting director out of New Orleans. I'm not sure who's responsible.
Was it Ryan Gloria?
I have the contact information. I've been researching it, and I was like, I don't know if that's considered.
All right. Here's the deal. If you can't find who that person was, go to your agent and say, I want to send. Ryan Glorioso is out of New Orleans. I don't know if it's him. I would like to thank them. It's I absolutely advocate thanking a casting director. Don't go send them $100 gift card. Don't send them a weekend at the Ritz-Carlton. A card is sufficient. If you can get their office, if their office address. Thank you. Especially on a headshot card, make the headshot postcards. I love those. Thank you so much for casting me in the role and blah, blah, blah. It was great. It was a wonderful time on set. Boom. They'll see it, they'll read it, go, that was nice, and they'll throw it away. But that's all. I mean, Chase Paris said, tell all your students to stop sending me cards. I said, no. I'm not, because it makes us feel good to thank them. And it gets you in front of them. Don't go overboard, just something very simple, and usually for a booking. Usually for a booking, not for every audition.
No, it was a booking, and I had a fabulous time. And
congratulations!
I should thank somebody.
Yeah, for sure. Congratulations.
They will absolutely give you that person's information, so you can send them whatever you need to.
All right.
And even if it's an email, might be an email. Just shoot them an email and say what a great time you had on set.
Thank you.
Israel, are you gonna unmute?
Oh, really? He's gonna ask a question?
Of course I'm gonna ask a question.
What do you want?
Okay, so phrasing. One, great to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you, Adetinpo, for setting this up. So I've always thought of like the acting journey as less of like this long marathon or whatever, but more of like a climb up a ladder or a mountain or something. I guess what advice would you give when you're moving from kind of one stage to the next?
In terms of like roles you're going out for? Yeah,
so if like in the beginning you're like from booking your first ever co-star to going to starting to get more recurs, to starting to get more guest stars, to starting to get, big, when you start getting meteor work.
What is your question? I missed it.
Yeah, I did too. I'm not sure where the question is in that.
Oh, I was just saying any advice for that move, that in how you prepare and how you approach the work and how you interact when you're on set, and like any of that kind of advice.
In terms of auditioning, I will do the same thing. If it's a bigger role, guest star role, series regular role, I'll spend a lot more time on it. Yeah. For sure. I'm going to spend a lot of time on it, and maybe even get coaching. In terms of being on set, it's every set is totally different. I could go on set as a guest star. I mean, and again, if it's a TV show that's been airing for years, they all know each other. They're like a family. So whether you're a co-star, guest star, and you're sitting in the holding area with them, I'm quiet. I don't try to make friends. I'm inherently a shy person, so I'm not going to go out there and, hey, great, nice to meet you. I'm quiet, so I give them their space. I don't want to come on too strong. And that's with any role, no matter how big my role is. I think oftentimes the bigger your role is, the more you're on set in this one project, the more comfortable you are. And that's, to me, what is the apex of what we do, at least for me, is being comfortable on set. having that comfortability. What's the word? Is that a word? Is that a word? Being comfortable and knowing that you can play. You know, I just shot Escape from Love. I was there, you know, I had a couple of weeks. It was great. And I was so comfortable. It was easy. I could work easier. You know, the hardest roles that we do, you guys, are those one-day co-star roles.
The hardest to get.
They're the hardest. Even if you're a guest star, it's difficult on a show, on a TV show that's already established, because they're not there to make friends either. So you've got to hold your own. You've got to find your zen completely, and just know that you're prepared. I don't care if it's one line or 4 scenes.
Something I've heard too is to gauge the tone of the production by how friendly people are in hair and makeup. If you get there and it's quiet and nobody's talking to each other, then you know to just like be chill and keep to yourself all day. And if they're playing music and people are dancing and laughing and then you know there's a more environment. I think I also stole it from Alex, but I think that's a great tip. I think also just being like, having cool vibes is solid. I think though, to your question about preparing the auditions, what I've seen, what I've been taught, because again, I am not a scholar, but what I've been seen and taught is that you want to give it more time, and that's the opportunity to then create a more full character. Somebody asked earlier, like, when is it appropriate to like start thinking about who my character's mom and dad are? And if you're doing like a really meaty guest star where you're doing 4 pages of monologue talking about your family, that's when it's going to be helpful. Series regular, I honestly will often sit down for series regular audition, and it's like, because it's always a young professional. So I'm like, where did I go to college? What's the mascot? Sometimes if I can't think of how to like really dive into a character, I don't think I've ever told people this, I randomly choose a zodiac sign. I'm like, this person's a Taurus. And then I'm like, okay, what is a Taurus like? And I'm like, all right, I will layer that on top of all of this. And then
I love that.
And then it kind of just gives it more of a like, I get angry when it's cold. I don't know what Taurus's experience, but I think
I love that. Oh my God, that is really cool. And I'm gonna totally steal it. I'm gonna totally steal it.
Oh yeah, the scoring is definitely no longer yours. So okay. But it's good to see you, Izzy. Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Israel. I mean, if I didn't answer that properly, I will see you at the studio at some point. And answer better.
I think this is a good time to say thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your lively conversation in the chat. Catherine, it was such a pleasure. I feel like we're old friends now. Can't wait to get a glass of wine and hang out.
I was just gonna say that. We need to go have a beverage.
Because you know, sometimes you're like, I don't know if she liked me as much as I liked her. Also, profound thank you. If you're not a part of Storyteller Sessions, join. It's amazing. Every Tuesday and Thursday, the script is read. They always need actors. They always need writers. It's an incredible space to just have community. And if you guys don't mind, I keep forgetting to do this. I would love to take a group picture.
Yeah.
So
profound thank you. I don't know who you are or where you are, but you've got a wonderful name, and thank you for doing that.
Okay, Dre. Dre was like, I'm ready for my picture.
Yeah, it looks like he is.
I love it. Oh, you know what? I'm on a Mac. How do I take a screenshot on a Mac?
Do it with your phone. Do it with your phone.
Okay, thank you. You're on your phone.
It's Command Shift 4. Command Shift 4.
Okay.
I thought it was 3.
Oh, it's 4, and you just drag it. Yeah.
Command Shift 4.
You ready? 1, 2. Hey, everybody looks so cute. Okay. Okay, thanks guys. Also, I should one day share the link that is for feedback in case, you know, we could be doing this better. And I say we, I mean I could be doing this better. But I don't know, email me, I guess. Again, thank you everyone. I'm gonna stop recording. You don't have to leave, but this is the end.